everyone, and welcome to the University of Sussex, and particularly to the School of Education and Social Work. My name's Claire Stenning, and I'm Deputy Head of the School of Education and Social Work, and I look after all of the international students who come on our PGCE primary and secondary programmes. And who better to ask for some help? Our international students.
Ciao, I'm Max and I'm from Italy.
Akwaba, I'm Blessing and I'm from Ghana.
Ekudedi Asikoi, my name is Oluwadamlola and I'm from Nigeria. Hello, so I'm going to be talking about a few things that you need to bring along when you're coming into the country as an international student. Firstly, I'm going to be talking about clothing items. You don't need to bring all your wardrobe, just bring in just one winter jacket and some of your cultural attires, which might help you to distinguish yourself. Also, you might need to bring in some foods, some local delicacies that you have some of your ingredients, which will be so perfect because you don't want to start jumping around the UK looking for some of your spices, and also some of your medications. I remember coming into the UK, one lifesaver that has helped me in this country is Aboliki balm, which is a mentholatum balm that has helped me survive the UK winters. And lastly, start packing your original documents, because I'm sure you don't want to leave in anything out from your original documents. So I'm going to be inviting my partner in here, who is going to be talking more about the original documents.
Yes, what I would like to add is just that it's not just being from outside of Europe that is going to make shipping documents costly. I'm from Italy, and honestly, just shipping one certificate here cost me something like 35 quid. So you want to make sure you bring everything with you, all of your university documents from back home, things like birth certificate, they might come in handy. Just make sure you have all of the originals on you so you can save on the price that you would have to pay to get them shipped here from your origin country. Right, so let's talk money. First of all, do not immediately rely on your bursary payment, because the first instalment of your bursary payment will happen in October. So don't rely on it to pay your first rent or things like that. Make sure you're coming with some money to cover the first period of time you're spending here. And about the bursary and about how to get that, you do need to have a UK bank account. Now, it can be a bit hard to get one at the start because you need a proof of address. For example, when I came here, I didn't immediately have one because your visa does not count as a proof of address. To kind of go around that, there are online banks that you can use. For example, I'm using Revolut and you're using Monzo, right? Which are quite effective. They don't require proof of address, and then they become a proof of address once you are set up on them, and they are online, super easy to set up on your phone. I'm finding Revolut quite useful. It gives you a credit card as well as a bank account, pretty straightforward, all online, and I'm finding it great. What about you?
Well, I find Monzo to be the easiest to open. You just need your share code and an address, and that is all. You get your card, and after some time you're able to get your credit card, which helps you run in terms of difficult moments. Also, one good thing about Monzo is you're able to get your payments like days before the budget actually hits your account, which is very good, which can help you as a student.
Let's talk accommodation. There are lots of university accommodation here on campus that you can actually choose from. You're free to watch the videos. There are lots of accommodations here that you can watch the videos, watch how the rooms are, and then you make a decision on which one you're going to be deciding on. And talking about the university accommodation, it covers the rent, covers the water bills, covers the electricity, so you don't have to worry about payment of any other thing. And also Wi-Fi is included, yes. And one thing about the university accommodation is that it can be pricey, so if you think you would prefer to have an accommodation off campus, you're free to choose whatever and whichever area it is that you are comfortable with. Thank you.
Yeah, and about that, personally, I live quite far away from campus, but as long as you live near a train station, that is quite handy. That's what you want, or a bus station, but you need to be near a public transport station of some sort, and don't be too fixated on living in Brighton, because again, Brighton can be quite pricey, but there are a lot of quite nice places that you can go and live in. For example, there's Eastbourne, you could be living in Lewes, you could be living in Haywards Heath, that are all smaller towns but near enough, and they all have train stations and bus stations. You can just go and live near, so it can be easy for you to move onto campus. And take into consideration the fact that when you move here, you will communicate your address to the university, and the university will take that into consideration when they are choosing a placement for you. So you won't be sent super far away. You will be sent to a place that is reachable, usually by public transport, unless you say that you can drive, which makes things easier.
Alright, and let's talk about private accommodations. I'm sure by now you're all stressed about where to live when it comes to private accommodations, and then probably trying to get agents to get you places in town. I would say getting accommodation which is private is usually easier and less costly. There are so many apps online that can help you easily reach out to landlords, and you can easily email them asking of the prices of the accommodation. However, what I would recommend is that you make sure that before you make that first deposit, you are here in the UK and have gone for viewing, because it can be quite tricky with a landlord.
Talk about transportation right now. Yes, it is very important for you to have a very solid means of transportation, and the means of transportation that I have been using since I got to the UK has been the bus. So we have the app called the Brighton and Hove Transport Bus app, so you can always download it once you come into school, and we have different options that you can choose from. So what I always do is for me to always buy the 30-month network saver student option. So because my placement school is not really around the metropolis of the city saver, so I always get the network saver.
And if you want to get the train, which is faster and more comfortable, there are rail card apps that help you to cut the cost of transportation, and it's easier to get you to and from school.
Right, so you're coming here to train to be a teacher, so I think it's quite important that we talk about schools, shall we?
Yes, let's talk about uniforms. Well, in the UK, the students have a very strict uniform policy. Most students wear skirts with their blazers or trousers, and then most of the times they have to wear their tie. Thank you. They have to wear a tie in their schools, and yeah, it's very strict that they must have their blazers all the time, and their tie as well.
Yeah, and so the uniform gets checked regularly by members of staff. You would have to do it as a form tutor, and it's very strict. So is the behaviour policy is very strict. There's certain rules that the students have to follow. For example, it's quite common that the students line up outside of the classrooms before coming in. In one of my placement schools, they lined up every morning to do uniform check, equipment check. So yeah, it's very strict, and in that sense that is almost mirrored onto the teachers. There's a high level of professionalism in schools, and that is reflected in the language, but it's also reflected on how you're supposed to act and dress. There are dress codes for teachers. Obviously you have to be dressed smartly. I would say it's more clear cut for men. It's usually suit and tie, that's it. For women, it's a bit more loose. I would say it's all about communication, talk to your school. In my case, being a non-binary student teacher, I did liaise with my schools and with my university tutor to kind of find out where to go with my dress code, I would say it like that. But yeah, bottom line, be very smart, be very professional. It's important that you are aware of the English culture, so be on time, reply to emails straight away, or you will forget. But be very punctual with what you're doing and on time. Don't do the Italian like I would do, because I am Italian. Make sure when someone tells you be on time, it means be 10 minutes early. Don't be late, please.
Okay, so as an international student here studying for my PGCE, one thing you need to understand is that you have to be mentally ready. And when I say mentally ready, this is not to scare anyone. You're going to look back at the end of your PGCE course and you're going to celebrate your strength, because it's going to be a very mentally tasking year. And one of the things you need to put in mind is the fact that you should be ready to learn, relearn and unlearn some of the things that you have had in your mind. For example, myself, I have been in the four walls of a classroom back in my home country, Nigeria. But it is very important for me to unlearn some of the things I had known from my home country. So if you come into the UK with that kind of mindset, my dear, you're going to be disappointed. So you have to be ready to relearn some things, to unlearn some things, and then to learn, to grab some new things and some new ideas.
It is very, very important that you submit your lessons and your lesson plans in time, because they need to be looked over. And it's very important that when you plan, you act on the feedback that you get given. Don't get overwhelmed by the feedback, because you will get a ton from everyone. But just focus on a couple of elements and make sure you're implementing them in your lesson plans. Make sure you do it in a time efficient way, timely, promptly, send them off, so that you can edit them and then use your time more efficiently once you get home, so you can readjust your lesson plan. But again, don't stress too much about it, don't stress too much about the feedback, but do make sure that you act upon it.
We also have the online portfolio called a Pebble Pad, where you have to fill in every single week. And please don't be a last minute person. Make sure you start filling in your Pebble Pad as soon as the week begins, starting from Monday. I know that deadlines are Thursdays,
yes,
but try to start on Monday so that you won't have to be typing in the bus whilst you're on your way to school.
Why are you attacking me? I feel attacked.
Lastly, do not forget that by joining, you will be part of a wider group of international PGCE students. So we're all dealing with the same issues, we're all having very similar problems and very similar opportunities, to be realistic. So we do have this wonderful international students group. In this group we regularly meet up, discuss what the issues are, what the solutions could be, what the university can offer, and we are very, very, very well supported. Fortuna e ci vediamo a settembre.
Ujinkwa, see you in September.
Mo kí yín kú oríire o, a máa pàdé nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án.